Ladies and gentlemen, have you been having a wonderful time together? Coming together to celebrate 50 years of Head Start. Well, you've come to the perfect party today. I want you to put your hands together for my very good friend, Uno, dos, tres, Andres.
Yeah. Hola, hola. Everybody say, ba, 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 da. It doesn't matter where you are from, if you speak English or Espanol. It doesn't matter, there's nothing wrong, we can all get along.
If you speak German or Japanese, it doesn't make any difference to me. If you speak Arabic, Chinese, or French, we can all just be friends.
Everybody, hola amigo, what is your name? Hola amigo, you'll be my friend. Hola amigo, what is your name? Hola amigo, you'll be my friend. Y no me importa de dónde sos, desde que tengas buen corazón. No me importa cuál es tu idioma, desde que seas buena persona. We come from different places, but we have smiles on our faces. And when we share our name, we realize we're all the same. Okay, guys, I wanna see everybody hands in the air. Hola,
Hola,
oh, hola,
oh, hola,
oh, oh, hola.
oh,
Okay, hold
hola.
on, guys. I'm gonna get some names. Señora, what is your name? Maria? Bria. Hola, Bria.
Hola, Bria.
Hola, Bria.
Hola, Bria.
Usted, señor. Hola, Jaime.
Hola, Jaime.
Hola, Jaime.
Hola,
You there standing up, dancing. What is your name? Robin. Hola, Robin.
Hola, Robin.
Hola, Robin.
Hola, Robin.
Hola. Everybody. Hola, amigo. What is your name? Hola, amigo. You'll be my friend. Hola, amigo. What is your name? Hola, amigo. Un, dos, tres, ya. Hola.
Hola,
Hola.
hola,
Hola, hola.
hola, hola.
Hola, amigo, what is your name? Hola, amigo, you'll be my friend. Hola, amigo, what is your name? You'll be my All right, thank you so much. I forgot to introduce the band. Everybody say, Hola, Jorge,
Hola, Jorge.
from El Salvador.
El Salvador.
Hola, Luis,
Hola, Luis.
from Puerto Rico. Say, hola, Leah,
Hola, Leah.
from
Washington, D.C.
Washington, D.C. Go, girl. Hola, Cristina,
Hola, Cristina.
from
Colombia via Kansas City.
Colombia via Kansas City. Right now, guys, my name is Uno, dos, tres, Andres, and I go to schools and libraries all over the country, and on my shows, I've been doing this 5 years. Every single show, I take my kids to Cuba. So I've been taking kids to Cuba for 5 years. I think they finally got the memo because they're finally trying to make it work, right? So I'm going to take you guys to Cuba. Everybody close your eyes. Spread your wings. Let's fly together. Can you give me? Very good, very good, very good. Oh, I found my airplane. Matches my shirt. Here we go, everybody. Close your eyes, spread your wings. Vamos a volar a Cuba. Here we go. Can you sing along with the slide whistle? It's a great exercise. You can do it in your classroom. It helps developing ear and coordination. Let's do it together. Vamos a seguir. Abran las manos. Here you go. Let's fly together. I want to hear you fly. So we're going to land in the beautiful island of Cuba. And we are going to do the mambo. Everybody say mambo.
Mambo.
Let's practice. Everybody say hoo. Finger up in the air. Hoo. Together. 1, 2, 3. Hoo. We count to 10. We say mambo, hoo. I think we got it. Ready? Play your drums. Say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Mambo. Hoo. Wait. Creo que no trajeron el dedo. I think they left their finger home. Oh no, I know you're using it to use your cell phone. I know what's going on. Now, put that cell phone down unless you're looking on Facebook, 1, 2, 3, Andrés. That's all you can do on Facebook. Now use your finger. Let me see you, everybody. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Mambo. Okay, I'm going to teach you how to do the mambo for free. Listen up, everybody say manos, 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 manos. Very good. For the next one, you need to stand up. So go ahead, everybody, stand up. Thank you, guys. Say pies, 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 pies. Cabeza, 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 cabeza. Cola, 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 cola. Manos, manos, pies, pies. Cabeza, cabeza. Cola, cola. Play your drums. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Mambo. Manos, manos, pies, pies, cabeza, cabeza, cola, cola, manos, manos, pies, pies, cabeza, cabeza. Very good, very good, very good. Listen, I'm going to teach you how to count backwards in Spanish. You know how to do it? You turn backwards and then you count. 1, 2, 3. Everybody say 10, 9, 8, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. As loud as you can. Yeah. Mambo! Thank you so much. All right, guys. We have one more song for you, and then we're gonna get into the very important people who are here today. So, guys, I try to teach so many things about geography. I made this song. Everybody sing with me. Say, North America,
North America,
South America,
South America,
Central America,
Central America,
the Caribbean.
the Caribbean.
Right? Because we always talk about maybe 2 continents, North and South America. Maybe we talk about, not often enough, we talk about North, Central, and South America. What about the Caribbean? Where are my people from the Caribbean? Let me hear you. All right, so we try to involve everybody. Now, but we're in Washington, D.C. So we're going to give you a gift from Washington, D.C. They came up with a type of music here called go-go. Say go-go.
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 So it's kind of like a funk with a cowbell. And where's your cowbell? I'm just kidding. Everybody, let's do this together. Everybody say salta.
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 You know what that means? Here we go. I got news for you. That means jump. So get ready to jump. Everybody, go, go, go. Salta, salta, uno, dos, tres. 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 Salta, salta con Andrés. Mueve los pies, cuenta 1, 2, 3. Brinca, brinca, que eso no duele. Vamos afuera, apaga la tele.
Jump, jump. One more time. We'll count together and jump really high. Jump really high. Jump really high.
Jump really high.
1, 2, 3. All right.
Salta, salta, 1, 2, 3. 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 All right, guys, we're gonna try this. Let's try to count to 3. Put your hands in the air. Very easy. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. One more time. Hands in the air. 1, 2, 3. Okay, everybody, now crouch down. Get ready to jump at the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Salta, salta, 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 1, 2, 3. Because listen, right? You guys know that our kids are suffering an epidemic of obesity. So we need to engage them in movement, engage them in exercise, in creative ways. So I invite you guys to all look up this song online. It has a beautiful video that shows families jumping together. So I know you guys believe that from the heart. We want to save our children. Let's show me. Everybody stand up from your chair. Right now, you can do it. Count with me. Say, salta, salta, 1, 2, 3. Salta, salta, 1, 2, 3. Go! Salta, salta, 1, 2, 3. Salta, salta, 1, 2, 3. Salta, salta, 1, 2, 3. Jump higher, jump higher, jump higher, jump higher, jump higher, jump higher, jump higher. Go, 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 go. 1, 2, 3. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Congratulations. 50 years head start. Thank you so much. See you next time, guys.
1, 2, 3. Andrés.
Muchas gracias.
Gracias, gracias.
Well, hello, everybody. You've just been listening to Andrés Salagro and his group 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Andrés, how about that? They were fantastic. I mean, they got everybody moving and over. By the way, he plays hundreds of gigs every year with the goal of encouraging Hispanic kids to feel proud of where they come from and where their ancestors come from, while helping others, non-Hispanics, kids learn about those cultures. So I wanted to say, again, thank you. Having people like that who are committed to helping our children learn and grow and hold on to their heritage is one of those important things that we value in Head Start. So we really appreciate his work. One more hand. Okay, guys, what a week it's been, I'm telling you, and it's not over yet. Today, we will continue to look out ahead towards our next 50 years, 50 years of Head Start. Head Start's first research director and social psychologist who has led a distinguished career working to close the achievement gap is going to talk with us today about research and how it will guide us as Head Start moves forward. That's one thing that's going to happen. We're also going to have the U.S. Department of Education is going to present their perspective on the future of education, and then our own Department of Health and Human Services and the Office of Head Start will both share their outlooks for Head Start and how to make and they're going to make two very special announcements that will affect all of us. And at the end of the session, we will have a special raffle for an iPad. Yes, it's true. And 2 50th anniversary carpets donated by Flagship Carpets. So if you got a chance in the exhibit hall to see what those carpets look like, we're going to get 2 of them raffled off. So don't leave because you have to be here to win, or I get to take it home. So first we're going to have a special message from someone else who's looking forward to the future, Secretary Hillary Clinton.
Hello, everyone. I am delighted to speak to all those gathered today in Washington for the National Head Start Association's annual conference. And I'm thrilled to join so many alumni, parents, teachers, directors, and friends of the Head Start community in celebrating Head Start's 50th anniversary. Since 1965, Head Start has worked to serve the whole child to ensure success in school and in life. And just think, over the last 50 years, you've touched the lives of more than 31 million children and their families. And I want to applaud you for your success in providing quality early education to at-risk children across our country. Research shows Head Start prepares children for kindergarten and contributes to their overall preparedness for life. I also want to acknowledge the transformational work of the National Head Start Association. It's committed to the belief that every child, regardless of circumstances at birth, does have the ability to succeed in life. I care deeply about ensuring that all children have the opportunity to fulfill their God-given potential, and quality early education is essential to ensuring that that can happen. That's why I created Too Small to Fail at the Clinton Foundation, aimed at reaching parents and caregivers to share the importance of actively engaging in language-rich interactions with very young children. Every day, from the moment they're born, we're working to help close the word gap in America by reminding everyone, from pediatricians to parents to pastors to early childhood educators, to spread the message about how they can make talking, reading, and singing to children everyday activities that help build their brains and expand their vocabularies. I thank you for everything you do every day to ensure that our nation's youngest citizens receive a quality early education. So thank you to the National Head Start Association for being such a strong voice and a committed champion for more than 1 million children. Here's to the next 50 years of success.
Thank you, Secretary Clinton. That was a message we certainly appreciate. You know, the last few days, every time we had a session like this, a panel session, something exciting happened. And so those excitements cascade. You think it's the last day, it's not all of it. So my next honor and privilege and pleasure is to introduce Dr. Edmund Gordon. Dr. Gordon is a Richard March Ho Professor Emeritus of Psychology and Education at Teachers College, Columbia University. And he brings a really singular perspective on how Head Start has evolved, innovated, and had a resounding impact over the last 50 years. As the first, this is the exciting part, Dr. Gordon was the first Head Start research director. He was commissioned by President Johnson, and he has had a tremendous influence on contemporary thinking in psychology, social policy, and early childhood education. Dr. Edmund Gordon.
Thank you very much. First for inviting me, and then for, oh, I'm sorry. I was simply saying thank you. First for inviting me, and second for this very warm reception. 50 years ago, about this time, when 6 or 7 of us came to Washington to design Head Start, I don't think we thought it was going to be here for 50 years and to be so well received, but we should have anticipated it, because it became, from its beginning, even before we launched the first summer's activity, it became such a popular intervention. I remember our planning was interrupted several times because Lyndon Johnson, who was then the President of the United States, Lyndon spotted Head Start as a very the President spotted Head Start as a very politically popular intervention. It was probably late January in '65 that he called several of us down to Washington and said he wanted to do a little experiment. And by little, oh, thank you. Do I need to repeat? I said thank you, and I was referring to the fact that when we started Head Start 50 years ago, we had no idea it was going to be such a popular and permanent part of our culture. But I had transitioned into the fact that we should have anticipated it, because from the very beginning, even before we mounted Head Start for the first summer, it was recognized as a very popular intervention. President Lyndon Johnson, who had picked up the idea from the former President John Kennedy, Jack Kennedy had gotten the idea from Robert Cook. Bob Cook was the dean of the medical school at Johns Hopkins and had been the pediatrician that the Kennedy family consulted with as they began to realize that they had at least one member of the family, a child, that needed special help. Anyway, Cook had heard about the research several of us were doing at that time, having to do with the early intervention into the development of children. and had convinced President Kennedy that it was a good idea. When President Johnson succeeded President Kennedy after that tragic event, Johnson picked up the notion. And I think it was just after Christmas or just after New Year in '65 that I can't remember his first name now, but his name is Califani, who was Johnson's chief of staff, called to say that the president wanted to mount an experiment built upon the work that was emerging at that time in the early intervention in the development of children. And he wanted to do a big experiment. And he estimated, 25,000 kids. Now, I mentioned that number because between January when we started planning and July when we opened Head Start for the first time, that 25,000 had jumped to 450,000 kids. What had happened is that beginning in late January, early February, almost every week or two, we got a message from the White House, can you increase the number? Can you add a few more kids? So it was first from 25 to 35 to 50 to 100. And as I indicated, by summer, we had 450,000 kids there. Now that turned out to be one of the nation's most successful experiments, we thought, in education. But as I reflect upon what we were about and what we even planned 50 years ago, it was more than an experiment in education. Because as you know, Head Start stands for a great deal more than the acceleration of the educational development of kids. We are concerned with the health of children. We are concerned with feeding them adequate nutrition. One of my favorite pieces was the concern with family development. I'm getting an echo. Is it disturbing you as much as me? It's okay? Okay. As you know, one of the elements of Head Start is its concern with family development. And what we had in mind then was the idea that children, of course, are born, fortunately, into families. They have parents. And it is the quality of parenting that makes a great difference. Most of us parents have good intentions. Many of us don't quite know what to do, but as I will discuss later, there was a large segment of the society in which families were without the capacity. They didn't have the resources with which to do for children. Head Start couldn't do much about the lack of resources, but it could do something about parental know-how. So parental development was a big part of what we were and are concerned with. A part of what we're concerned with, will somebody remind me of the time, because I think I've got just 15 minutes. An element of Head Start that you probably don't give a lot of attention to now, but in the first 2 or 3 years, we thought of it as a very important part of it. If you recall, I was just talking with someone who knew and was close to Sarge Schreiber. The president had asked Schreiber to head something called the War on Poverty. And Sarge believed strongly in better resourced families, but he believed equally as strongly in strong communities. So there was a community development part of his program in Head Start. Unfortunately, it was one of the first pieces to be defunded by Congress, and for the wrong reasons, I think. When you get involved in organizing communities, organizing people to do something about their own lives, they quickly recognize that political activity is important. Well, the folks down in Congress didn't create Head Start to start raising hell and keep what was going wrong and organizing those communities to do something about it. So we dropped that part. I hope some of you are still paying some attention to it, because strong communities are necessary if you're going to have strong families, and strong families are necessary if you're going to have strong kids. But Head Start, as I was saying, was about more than education. It was about optimal development of young kids, recognizing that what happens in those early years, and actually we were starting with, I think, the 4th year, and my wife, who's a pediatrician, reminds us that we really need to start in utero, that the goodness of the development of kids is related to the total history of their existence. So one would begin with conception. But you know, I have a friend, he's dead now, Herbert Birch. Herb was a psychologist and a pediatrician, and his I dropped it. I'm sorry. You really have to start intergenerationally. He had evidence that suggested that women whose mothers were born in poverty, bear children who carry challenges that are related to that intergenerational poverty, primarily related to health. We are beginning to recognize that multiple generations in under-resourced families and under-resourced environments plays out not only in one's physical health, but in one's mental health. So that Head Start wasn't able to do much about the intergenerational effect, but it was and is concerned with doing something about improving the lives and competencies of the current generation of parents. And of course, you know from the research that Head Start does seem to work. I realize I'm really preparing for an hour or two of talk, and I've got 15 minutes, so I better cut back. But speaking of Head Start Works, I noticed there's a picture here. I gather that's a shot from the President's Rose Garden, and it looks like he's signing a piece of legislation. But it also could be the party that he threw the first summer of Head Start to 3 minutes, thanks, to announce the success of Head Start. I mentioned that because we do have good evidence now of the effectiveness of Head Start, but at that particular time, what Lyndon Johnson was celebrating was the fact that we simply got it off the ground. We didn't have any evidence to show that it worked. I was in the Brown building that day trying to do the statistics to see if it worked. Well, fortunately it did. I mentioned that to make one of my political points. I was not in the Rose Garden that day and didn't appear in that picture because the President and I disagreed. I think he suffered from a narrow education. I think he was depending upon the wrong foreign advisors, because before he died, he realized that he had taken the wrong turn in the war on Vietnam. If you recall, it was under his leadership that government actually distorted the evidence to convince us to extend the war for 3 years which we knew 3 years before we ended it that it was the wrong war. Lyndon was a marvelously humane person. He was a very, 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 very good politician. But he didn't have much depth in his education. So for a lot of things, other than those kind of things that grew out of his humanity, he turned to other advisors. Now, we as adults, those of us who are trying to influence and shape the education of young kids, it's terribly important that we develop as well as we can the capacity to think deeply, to think critically. Because I think if Lyndon Johnson had been better educated, or had been more thoughtfully advised, he would go down as probably next to Roosevelt and possibly Lincoln, the finest president we had. He recognized that to improve education, you've got to improve the quality of lives of children. He recognized that we adults who are adequately resourced, that is, if we've got the money, if we've got the access to the political power, we pretty much want to educate our children well. And they're telling me I'm running out of time and I got to quit. But anyway, children need the kinds of things that Head Start provides. Thank you so much for your efforts at continuing what we started.
Thank you, Dr. Gordon. That was a precious gift, having your presence here and your sharing your experiences and actually making us feel like we were there with you. So I learned, we got taken to church the other night, I got taken to school today. Is it feedback? Okay. Thank you. I have the pleasure of introducing John King. John King is the Senior Advisor to the Department of Education Secretary, Arne Duncan. And he will provide us insights into how the Department of Education will approach early learning in the years to come. John brings a unique perspective. He worked many years as a social studies teacher and was named New York's Education Chief in 2011. He has focused his career on narrowing the achievement gap and ensuring that all students have access to great teaching. And he's really nice. I sat right next to him, and he did the dances and sang the songs and was very friendly. Let's give a warm welcome to John.
Thank you very much, Vanessa, for the introduction. Thank you all for the opportunity to join you today. It's already been one of the best conferences I've been to. Dancing at conferences is rare. That's good. Very grateful for the opportunity to be here. Grateful to Yasmina Vinci for her extraordinary leadership. Grateful to our partners at HHS, Secretary Burwell and Linda Smith on her team. On behalf of Secretary Duncan, I want to congratulate all of you on 50 years of extraordinary service to the country, the difference that Head Start has made in the lives of over 30 million children, and the important contribution to families and communities that Head Start represents. I know firsthand from my experience as a teacher and principal in the Roxbury section of Boston, the difference that access to quality early childhood programs makes in families' lives. I can think of talking with parents who expressed their fears about not having confidence in the child care that they had. Parents who worried that they couldn't find child care. Parents who had to miss work and lost wages because they didn't have child care. Parents who worried about how they would pay for their child care alongside housing and transportation and all of the other costs, particularly our low-income families. I know firsthand from my time running a network of schools in Brooklyn, New York, what it's like to see the achievement gap in kindergarten, what it's like to sit in a kindergarten classroom and see that some students have a sense of letters and numbers and others don't, that some students pick up the books and hold them upside down, to talk with teachers about students who haven't developed the socio-emotional skills they need to cope successfully in the classroom, to make friends, to build relationships, to share. I know firsthand the difference that you make, and I'm very grateful for that difference. I also know firsthand, as the parent of 8-year-old and 11-year-old, it's not that long ago, that I felt the blessing of having my children in quality early childhood programs. The confidence that you have when you know that your child is safe, the sense that you have faith that your child is being developed, not just academically, but socio-emotionally. The knowledge that your child is being read to, that your child is in a language-rich environment, that your child is being exposed to art and music and having opportunities to play. It's a tremendous blessing, and Head Start is a blessing in the lives of families and a blessing in the life of our country. As is Dr. Gordon, a blessing to this country. It's 1965, I was a high school social studies teacher, so you'll forgive me, I can't help but engage in a little history. It's powerful to have Dr. Gordon here to connect us back to 1965. If you haven't heard the president's words at Selma, where he celebrated an important moment in 1965, it's a speech worth listening to, where the president talks about America as an unfinished product, a work in progress, that our obligation as citizens is to keep making the country better. Dr. Gordon made the country better. This moment made the country better. What you do makes the country better. And the question for all of us is, so what next? What now? The evidence is incontrovertible about the difference that quality early learning experience makes in students' lives. The difference is undeniable that Head Start makes in students' lives, not just their readiness for kindergarten, but their readiness for life, their success in high school, whether or not they graduate, whether or not they go on to college, whether or not they stay out of jail, whether or not they avoid the pitfalls of teen pregnancy and gangs. Head Start matters. We have the evidence, but will we as a country act on the evidence? The president has expressed, consistently, a deep commitment to expanding early learning opportunities and quality early childhood care. He talked in the State of the Union and in his budget about the importance of investing resources in early childhood. At the department, we have worked for 6 years to fulfill the president's vision through the Race to the Top Early Learning Challenge, through the preschool development grants. We are your partners in expanding students' access, children's access, families' access to quality early childhood care, to quality early learning. And we've got to continue that work. And the question before Congress today is, will the Elementary and Secondary Education Act, which they are about to reauthorize, will it honor this legacy? Will it honor Dr. Gordon's legacy? Will it honor the legacy of 1965? Now, I was saying to folks earlier today, there probably aren't many bus stops around the country where parents are walking up to each other saying, hey, did you hear ESEA is going to be reauthorized? Right? It's probably not the first thing that comes to mind, but it is a hugely important civil rights law, adopted in 1965. It is a civil rights law that is about our country's commitment to equality of educational opportunity for all children. It is about our willingness as a country to invest in the future of every child, no matter their zip code, no matter their family's income. And what the president has called for and what Secretary Duncan has called for is for early learning to play a central role in the Elementary and Secondary Education Act. We are at a crossroads. We have made progress as a country over these 50 years. We've made tremendous progress over these last 6. We announced a few weeks ago the highest graduation rate the country has ever had at 81%. But it's not good enough yet. We have achievement gaps that are too wide that we must close, and part of how we will do that is through an investment in early learning. If the Elementary and Secondary Education Act puts resources and commitment behind the expansion of early learning, it will also free up resources at the state and local level to expand Head Start, to expand other child care options from 0 to 4. We have an opportunity to take a step forward. We have an opportunity to create more integrated early learning environments where general education students and students with disabilities are in inclusive environments learning together. We have an opportunity to have early learning programs that serve our English language learners well, that give them the opportunity to acquire English language skills and celebrate and develop their native language. We have the opportunity to ensure that more students are ready when they get to kindergarten and that more students are prepared for success in college and careers. But there are some in Congress who, rather than go forward, want us to go back. They want their vision of the Elementary and Secondary Education Act is a law that will shift resources from high-needs communities to more affluent communities. Their vision of an Elementary and Secondary Education Act is one that excludes early learning. Their vision is one that takes us back on our commitment to equity of opportunity. So we have this crossroads moment. We are pleased to be your partner, to be partners with HHS in an effort to ensure that we keep moving forward as a country towards this vision, towards the vision of 1965 when we tried as a country to say we can and must do better. Again, it's an honor to be with you. So grateful for what you do as teachers and leaders and parents and support staff. Grateful for what you do every day on behalf of our children and for the sake of our country. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. So now we will shift our focus a little closer to home. I mean, our federal home. So you have heard many speakers this week talk about the importance of innovation, and we've had sessions about it, interesting sessions. But innovation is a core characteristic of Head Start, hardwired into it at the beginning by Drs. Gordon and Ziegler and their colleagues way back in 1965. So there have been, since then, many individuals who have transformed Head Start through innovation. So this happens all the time when local programs must respond to unique community needs. So there's a lot of local innovation. But transformation through innovation occasionally happens on a larger scale. Well, just the Head Start itself was a major innovation, but now we have the real privilege of hearing from someone who innovated at the national level a little later on. Olivia Golden, among many other innovations she introduced while she was at the Department of Health and Human Services, was instrumental in creating early Head Start. Today, she's the executive director of the Center for Law and Social Policy. You know it probably for some of their wonderful analyses and papers as CLASP. Olivia is a valuable ally for Head Start and for NHSA. She will now provide her perspective on the future of early learning and Head Start and will introduce the Secretary of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Sylvia Mathews Burwell. So please welcome Olivia Golden.
Good afternoon. It's such an honor to be here to celebrate 50 years of Head Start. Thank you to Yasmina for that lovely introduction, to NHSA, to the extraordinary speakers, and to all of you for taking the time to be here away from your important work and on a gorgeous afternoon. So thank you for being in this dark room. When I thought about these remarks, I realized that of the 50 years of Head Start has been in my life for about 25 years, about half that time. I remember my first visit to a Head Start center with Helen Taylor, and people remember Helen here in Washington, D.C., Yes. It was one of the honors of my life. It was such an honor to be able to recruit her to Washington as our Head Start Associate Commissioner. And she taught me a very important skill, which is how to judge when you walk into a preschool classroom. If all the kids come running to you affectionately as you walk in the door, it is not a good classroom. They are not engaged in what they're doing, right? It's a good lesson. I've seen so many other people whose programs I visited then. I know Lucy's here from Texas, and yes. And I have so many memories. I'm so thrilled Yasmina talked about Early Head Start. Creating Early Head Start was one of the proudest moments of my professional life. I remember the signing of the reauthorization, chairing the committee that designed it when Julie Richmond, one of the founders, named it. It was very exciting. So because the 50th birthday is such a big deal, I want to do two things briefly in these remarks before I have the honor to introduce the Secretary. I want to spend the first part of my remarks looking back at those 50 years. What are the big themes that still speak to us today? And then I want to close with a charge for the future. When I look back and think about 50 years ago and the creation of Head Start, one of the things that still astonishes me is that core insight about how much the early years of life matter. If you think about what we know about that today, we have all this science, right? We have all the brain research and the neuroscience and all those things. But Head Start was created before a lot of that, at a point when we did know some things by experience and clinically, and it turned out to be right. It turned out that those were crucial years. Head Start also was founded on the core insight that parents matter. And that, too, is something that's back in fashion right now, right? Two-generational strategies are all about the idea that helping parents care for their children is an investment in those children. But that's always been an uphill battle in United States policy because there's often been so much anger at poor parents for their own choices that the voice of Head Start, that parents matter, has been a crucial element of those 50 years. Head Start's theme that comprehensive development matters, that young children, their learning and their success grows out of a combination of cognitive skills, of socio-emotional well-being, of health, of nutrition. That's another core insight that's been there from the beginning and has never been more important. And then the powerful insight that all children matter. Head Start, of course, was born in the civil rights movement, right? That's all those other anniversaries we're celebrating 50 years later. That's why it comes from those years. So it was about reaching Black children and Native American children, Latino children, all children, including those whose lives were at the time marginalized. So at a moment in our country when people are talking about this issue of do all lives matter, Head Start has a powerful message that we do and we know how to reach them all. And finally, when it comes to lessons, the lesson that all of you have offered over 50 years about staying the course, about persistence, but also about constantly improving, about never being satisfied and always reaching for the next goal, those are really important messages. I was sitting with Vanessa earlier, and she said, you know, she's been doing this almost 50 years, and she's never done the same thing 2 years in a row. And I really think when I was Assistant Secretary and I dealt with so many different people who provided services to children and families, and only the Head Start community, I think because of the initial framing as a national laboratory, always wanted to try the best thing. But I think the persistence has mattered too. If you think about living through sequestration, through budget cuts, I remember the month-long government shutdown 20 years ago. I was one of the few essential federal employees answering the phones, and I remember Head Start programs calling me and saying I was just at the bank. I was talking to them about how my line of credit is nearly run out. Do I need to close the doors? Tell me what's going to happen in the Congress. And I would say, I don't know. You have to do the best you can. And people always did, and none of you has ever given up. So thank you for that. So looking ahead, I want to leave you, I don't think I'm ambitious enough to tell you what to do for the next 50 years. I have to be honest. I hope the poverty's sharply reduced, maybe gone in 50 years, so I don't want you to have a 50-year charge. But let me give you a charge for what I'd like you to do when you go home, when you leave this room, when you get on the plane, when you go home. And it's a two-part charge. The first is to go home and set yourself a really ambitious goal in your program that's worthy of a 50-year anniversary. Maybe it's a goal about quality, about upping your use, the work you do with dual language learners, say, an area where Head Start's been always in the lead, or improving curriculum or teacher training. Or maybe it's a goal about how you connect to the community, about how effectively you're able to partner with childcare for parents who are working, or how effectively you're able to connect parents to health insurance, one of the big achievements of the Department of Health and Human Services and the President. So whatever the goal is, make it big, make it ambitious, make it grounded in who the children and families you serve are, and commit yourself to doing it. The second goal that I want you to take home is about speaking out. Head Start has always had a dual role of quality inside the program and speaking for children and families outside the program. And so I want to ask you in your programs, in your state associations, in NHSA, to recommit to telling the story of what Head Start has to teach the nation. I think it was Mark Shriver last night who said that his father actually wouldn't have been happy with where we are as a country today. And I agree with that. We're right now a country, for all kinds of reasons, despite extraordinary good work by so many people, where almost a quarter of young children are living in poverty. Almost half, 45% or so, are in or near poverty, struggling working families. About half of young children are children of color, so they're our future, and we need to be making sure they get the opportunities everyone else has. But we haven't done that as a nation. And so I would ask you to tell two particularly important stories. One is about the potential of the children and families you see every day. You need to just keep telling people about how bright, how much they have to offer, how just insane it is for the country not to take up all of their talents. And the second message is that early childhood education, early childhood interventions, family support that works has a dollar price tag. It comes with money. People say to me sometimes, why do you think, isn't the advocacy already done? We have a bipartisan consensus that early childhood development matters. Well, we do have far greater belief than we used to that it matters, but where we don't have a consensus is on the idea that you have got to spend money in order to make that difference, and you're in a position to tell that story. So I want to close, before I introduce the secretary, with one of my favorite Head Start stories. Some of you who go back as long as I do will remember having heard it before, but I hope you'll be polite. And it's a story about, actually, I think the first Head Start graduate that I talked to, Head Start alum, that I knew was a Head Start alum, long before I came to Washington. I was teaching at Harvard at the Kennedy School of Government, so I was teaching master's graduate students at Harvard, and I was teaching a course on child and family policy. And one young man in the class said that when we got to talk about Head Start, he wanted to talk about his experience. So I said, sure. We got to the class. He had called his parents up before the class because he wanted to talk to them about what they remembered. They were immigrants from Mexico. They were farm workers. Neither of them had beyond a high school, an elementary school education. And what they said to him they remembered most of all was that the Head Start teacher was the first person ever who told them their son could go to college. And if you think about it, when I knew him, not only had he graduated from college, but he was a couple of months away from graduating with a master's degree from Harvard University. And the theme that I always hear in that story, the idea that I want you to take away, is that it wasn't just the services, the education in that Head Start program that made such a difference in that young man's life. It was the vision, right? That's what that teacher did for that family. She said to them, your son could go to college you should have that picture of him, and then it came true. And so I guess what I want to say to you is that to me, that's one of the most important elements of Head Start. It's not just what you do, it's the vision that you stand for. And so what I want to ask you to do is to speak to that vision, to tell America about that vision, and then one day we'll all make it come true. Thank you. So now it's my true honor to introduce Secretary Sylvia Mathews Burwell, the Secretary of the United States Department of Health and Human Services. I just want to tell you, it's the most important department in the entire cabinet. That's not only because I'm biased, but because it is about helping people, including people who are poor and struggling, but also many other people, people who might need health insurance, people who might need all kinds of other help. If you think about everything the department does, from the Centers for Disease Control addressing Ebola in Africa to the health parts of the agency and mental health, and then the parts you know better, Head Start and child care and child welfare and child support, it's truly central to the lives of tens of millions of Americans. It has 70,000 employees, and Secretary Burwell is known as an outstanding manager in this and in her past career, someone who cares deeply about results and about being effective, about delivering on promises. And so I think she's the perfect person to talk to the Head Start community with your record of innovation, of continuous improvement, and delivering on results. Please join me in welcoming Secretary Sylvia Burwell to the podium.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Olivia. It's a pleasure to be with you all here today, especially as you celebrate the 50th anniversary. A few years after Head Start launched nationally, a class was established in my hometown of Hinton, West Virginia. In a rural town like Hinton, Head Start was one of the only early educational opportunities, and so it meant a lot to families then, and it means a lot to families now. In preparation for today's speech, I wanted to hear from someone who remembers that time 50 years ago a little better than a preschooler. So I had my mom reach out to my Head Start teacher, Rita Pack. You got it, I'm a Head Start kid. Didn't even tell my team. So at the time, it was a summer program, and this was probably before they switched to the full school year. And we met in what would eventually be my 5th grade classroom at Central Elementary School. And I do remember we hatched chickens. For those of you who are old enough to remember the little incubators, they had the eggs, the incubators. And I will tell you what, it started my love of science. And also in my Head Start class, in terms of my memories, my friends Victor Morgan, Christy Gore. Christy was my best friend and in my wedding. But like you all, thanks to an excellent teacher, her name is Rita Pack, I got a head start. I learned to love learning. And that's what I do today. That's what I get to do every day at this great department I get to work at. I get to love the learning and then act on that learning. And so my mom called Rita, and what Rita said was, she was remembering, and she said, oh, yeah, I remember Sylvia. She came in every day and she said, what are we going to learn? For anyone who knows me, they won't be surprised that I was anxious to get started every single day. And my foundation is a foundation that all children in our country can and should have. As a mom of a 5 and a 7-year-old, it's fascinating to watch their minds develop and grow. Maybe not always fascinating. And they are like little scientists. They're cataloging, they're exploring, they're testing theories. My 5-year-old is testing boundaries. And as you all probably know, by 2 years of age, a toddler's cerebral cortex contains well over 100 trillion synapses. From the ages of 3 to 9, a child's brain activity is twice the level of an adult. I will tell you, I feel that every night when I am home and we're reading another story. With all that development going on, we know that education and support during this critical development time can determine their success for years to come. We've all heard about the word gap. Children living in poverty hear 30 million fewer words by the time they are 4 years old than their more affluent peers. We know that less than half of poor children go to school prepared with the skills they need to be ready to learn. They are 10 times likely to drop out in high school. Children's brains are shaped by the chronic stress of poverty and parents struggling to fit in time for good night moon when they're working a second shift. Low-income parents often feel defeated by their situation. One study found that parents living in poverty underestimate their power to influence their children's cognitive development by more than 50%. That's why Head Start and Early Head Start are crucial to fighting poverty and building up our next generation. They were founded on the principles that education is the door to opportunity, that poverty doesn't have to be a family legacy, and that everyone, no matter their background, deserves a shot at a productive life. That is the core of the American dream. President Kennedy said, "Children are the world's most valuable resource and its best hope for the future. There is no better investment that we can make than investing in the minds of our children." Since it was created in 1965, like Head Start, I will be 50 this year, Head Start has provided more than 32 million children with comprehensive learning experiences, including school readiness, health, mental health, nutrition, and family engagement supports. This year alone, that number will be over 1 million. Thanks to the work of all of you that you do every day, children's lives are changed. Millions of kids will learn to love reading and graduate on time. They will grow up a little more secure, stay out of trouble with the law, and find jobs. The work doesn't just help those children, it strengthens their family and our entire community. As you all know, Head Start is the original 2-generation program, as Olivia just mentioned, working with parents to create more opportunities for children. Programs help build their capacity as caretakers and advocates, working together to create and implement family plans and support parents' ability to work. Head Start also has a long history of bolstering the field of early learning. Using the best and latest developmental research, you all provide the guidance on both what and how to best teach children and partner with their families. And by building a stable workforce of high-quality early educators, 71% of whom have BA degrees, children and families throughout the community benefit. Stronger students, families, and teachers have an impact on all of us. A RAND research brief found that early childhood interventions generate a return on society ranging from $1.80 to $17.07 for each dollar spent. And Head Start continues to grow and improve. We recently awarded the last of the $500 million that Congress budgeted for new early Head Start child care partnership grants. 276 new grants have been awarded. Those grants will serve over 30,000 new early Head Start children. This spring, we will issue the revised Head Start performance standards for public comment. These revised standards are rooted in research and will improve classroom quality and program transparency. We also think they will make it a little easier to manage programs by eliminating out-of-date requirements. And I am excited to announce to you all today that we have found a new director for the Office of Head Start. Blanca Enriquez. Blanca's here with us today. Blanca, can you wave? Thank you. Blanca has almost 30 years of Head Start leadership experience and has headed up Region 19's office in El Paso since 1991. Under her watch, the number of children they serve has more than tripled, and their program has been recognized both locally and nationally. She's a strong leader, and I know she's going to be a great addition to our team here in Washington. Welcome, Blanca. As we look to the next 50 years, we can see that the need for Head Start is greater than ever. Today, more than 16 million children in the United States, 22% of all children, live in families with incomes that are below the federal poverty level. And that includes a disproportionate amount of children of color, nearly 40% of Black children and 35% of Hispanic children. Many families living above the poverty level are still struggling. Research shows that, on average, families need an income of about twice the federal poverty level just to make ends meet. 41% of the nation's children live in low-income families. In light of these facts, and on this historic anniversary, now is the time to rededicate ourselves to the cause of a Head Start for those children who need it most. The administration knows how important early education and quality childcare is to the future success of our nation's children, and that's reflected in the President's budget. Our proposal requests over $10 billion to provide more children with more intensive, high-quality Head Start services. That is over $1.5 billion over this year's enacted budget and nearly a $4 billion increase since President Obama took office. Head Start does not need to be a partisan issue. The last Head Start reauthorization passed after an extended discussion and on a bipartisan basis. I know that Republicans like Chairman Lamar Alexander are deeply interested in early childhood issues. Just last year, he worked with Senator Murray and Senator Mikulski and several others on a bipartisan reauthorization of child care programs. Unfortunately, the House and Senate budget proposals failed to keep this promise to our children. We're concerned about current proposals to cut funding. We estimate that it would mean 35,000 fewer kids would be in Head Start than under our budget in 2016, and 157,000 fewer children in 2017. And they also don't include the funding for proposals for full day and full year programs that research shows leads to better outcomes. That's a huge loss for our children, for their families, and our communities. I want all of you to know that we are committed to fight for these funds, to keep this program strong. This work is too important. When President Johnson established the Head Start program, he declared, "The bread that is cast upon these waters will surely return many thousandfold." We see that return every day. If it's the spark in a boy's face when he discovers his love of painting, it's the dad's smile when he reads to his daughter, and for me, it's teaching my kids to love learning the way Rita Pack taught me. You all keep the American dream alive, and a very big thank you from this Head Start kit.
our own cabinet member, Head Start alumna. Give it up. Shall we dance? Here we go. Thank you. Thank you so much. Secretary Burwell, thank you so much. It is certainly an honor and a privilege to stand before the Head Start family this afternoon. I take this opportunity to applaud and recognize NHSA for its leadership role in Head Start and for this 50th anniversary celebration. May we have a big round of applause for NHSA. Y pues, buenas tardes, Head Start family. Good afternoon, familia. I begin by asking you two thought-provoking questions. How are the children? How are the children's family? For if the children are healthy, safe, actively learning, and nurtured, the Head Start staff is fulfilling the promise. If families are engaged in school readiness with their children and becoming self-sufficient, then the Head Start staff is building those trusting relationships and fulfilling the promise. You know, one could say these are math questions. 1 + 1 equals for us a holistic 2. And as we achieve the equation, we are positively impacting the quality of life for the most vulnerable children and families across our thriving United States, from sea to shining sea. Correct? Would you agree with me? Yes. I want you to turn to the person next to you and say, I am a proud Head Start team member. You may do that now. Wonderful. Ladies and gentlemen, we are Head Start. This week, NHSA has led the way to a 50-year celebration. 50 years of fulfilling the promise to our children, families, and staff. For 50 years, we have proudly stepped up to the challenges, many challenges, and many opportunities. Like funding reductions, like expansion, philosophical changes, program improvements, regulation changes, and society and community changes. We stand proud of our 50 years of service. However, we also need to move forward and embrace the challenges before us. How, you might ponder? Well, I propose that we begin, number 1, by turning challenges into opportunities, because 1 million young children and families depend on us. And in the future, we have to set it up for not just 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 4 million. Number 2, let us recommit to advancing our legacy. We are leaders in early childhood education. We are Head Start. Let us creatively and positively master
5-year funding cycle, the designation renewal system, the revision of performance standards, a revised child development outcomes framework, and the new uniform administrative requirements, also known as the super circular, the aligned monitoring system, the early Head Start child care partnerships, a full day, full year Head Start model that we can create, and definitely continuous professional development. I, as director of the Office of Head Start, invite you to recommit, to hold hands, and to work together with our grantees. Head Start, Early Head Start, Migrant and Seasonal, American Indian, and Alaskan Native. With our TNTA system, with our regional offices, with our collaboration offices, with the Office of Child Care, with the Department of Education, with each state's early learning departments, and of course, we must work together with business leaders and philanthropists. And in so doing, ladies and gentlemen, we will deliver to President Obama's belief, investment, support, and leadership in the nation's premier program, Head Start. We are in an era of transformation. And you know what people in transformative, innovative organizations do? Well, certainly, they do not sit on the sidelines and see if an idea will work or if an idea will fail. No, no. They step up forward and contribute to its success. President Obama has made his promise, and I quote his message: no matter who they are, no matter where they come from, they can make it. We must make it work. In our time together, let us position Head Start as a value-added, high-performing organization in all our states, in all our communities. We must heighten our level of commitment, for our children deserve nothing less. You can count on my 28 years of experience in designing and leading early care and education programs for young children, ages 0 to 8, their families and the staff that serve them. I offer knowledge and expertise in implementing comprehensive services, programs for dual language learners, professional development, program administration and evaluation, collaboration with childcare and public schools, and definitely innovation. I am most proud to have started my career as a teacher's aide and a teacher in kindergarten and first grade. We have a short time to complete our work, 21 months, but our work will sustain and strengthen Head Start. And I want to begin our work together with a song. You ready to sing? Yeah. You know Bruno Mars? You better know Bruno Mars. This song by Bruno Mars helps to demonstrate our heartfelt commitment. The song is titled Count on Me. If you know the song, I want you to sing, please, with me. If you don't, the lyrics will be on the screen. You need to follow along, you need to clap, you need to dance. Whatever you do, join me. All right, here we go. Music. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Music.
In the middle of the sea, I'll sail the world to find you. If you ever find yourself lost in the dark and you can't see, I'll be the light to guide you. Find out what we're made of when we are called to help our friends in need. You can count on me like 1, 2, 'cause that's what friends are supposed to do, oh yeah. Ooh, ooh, yeah, yeah. If you're tossing and you're turning and you just can't fall asleep, I'll sing a song beside you. And if you ever forget how much you really mean to me, every day I will remind you. Oh, find out what we're made of when we are called to help our friends in need. You can count on me like 1, 2, 3, I'll be there. And I know when I need it, I can count on you like 4, 3, 2, you'll be there. 'Cause that's what friends are supposed to do, oh yeah. Ooh, you'll always have my shoulder when you cry. I'll never let go, never say goodbye. You can count on me like 1, 2, 3, I'll be there. And I know when I need it, I can count on you like 4, 3, 2, and you'll be there. 'Cause that's what friends are supposed to do, oh yeah. Ooh, you can count on me 'cause I can count on you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and let's get to work. Thank you so much. You can count on me.
Thank you, Blanca, and I love Bruno Mars. Told you we were going to have something special. Can people hear me? Okay. Well, we are very grateful for the generous sponsor of today's closing ceremony, and it's PBS. And so I'd like for you to welcome to the stage Davis Lowenstein, Senior Director, Ready to Learn at PBS, and Pam Johnson from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting.
Thank you all. It's been so wonderful to be with you for much of this week. We are very emotional based on all that we've been experiencing. Congratulations on the anniversary, and to everyone who has orchestrated a phenomenal commemorative conference. Our public media community is honored to work side by side. All of you, such bright and dedicated Head Start educators who work so intelligently and passionately with precious children and families. We're grateful to this organization's friendship and partnership nationally and locally with the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and PBS Kids and all the local stations across the country. To be honest, we thank you for believing in us and embracing the power of public media to serve and educate children in innovative ways, in different ways. And David Lowenstein and I are here today on behalf of the CPB PBS Ready to Learn initiative, which is a wonderful partnership with the U.S. Department of Education and its Office of Innovation and Improvement, and in coordination with HHS as well. And during this week, we've been really proud to present our PBS Kids and Ready to Learn team's award-winning new math content, Peg plus Cat and Odd Squad, and we met many of you in sessions, and we're really excited for your support of that work, and we think together we can do really tremendous things to support children's learning. So I encourage you to check out those resources. We have wonderful assets to help with children and family engagement. And now, David, for the fun thing.
Thanks, Pam. Hey, everybody. I also want to just thank Yasmina Vinci for her tremendous leadership. She's also on the PBS Kids Next Generation Advisory Board. She's been guiding our work for many years, and we really appreciate her continued leadership on behalf of all of public media. I also want to acknowledge her staff, Ed Condon and Jane Adams and Carolyn Stennett and others for making this conference such a thrill and a great gathering. We are really delighted that we were able to present to such a packed room the other day, and we have a great ad in the program booklet on page 36. So I hope you'll check that out, because there are really good links to other resources. And I also want to acknowledge the great partnership that we have with NHSA called the Mobile Learning Program. And for those of you who don't know about that, that is an opportunity for you and your Head Start to get gift codes and activity sheets in Spanish and English that you can distribute to parents and educators in your communities. So on page 36, it has the URL, and I'll just say it now. It's called pbskids.org/gift codes. And if you go there, you can register and put your address in and request these codes to distribute as many hundreds, if not thousands, of gift codes to your community. And each gift code has a value of $1.99, and it allows a parent or an educator to download a PBS Kids mobile app onto an Android tablet or smartphone or an Apple iPhone or iPad. So it has a lot, actual monetary value, but more than that, these are really high-quality, evidence-based educational mobile apps, and they come stuck to these activity sheets, again, in Spanish and English, that provide books and tips and all types of activities that parents and teachers can do with their children. So we definitely encourage you, if you've not already signed up and registered, go to pbskids.org/gift codes and register your Head Start and start requesting codes that will ship to you free of charge. And now for the fun part, as Pam mentioned, we're going to raffle off an iPad mini to a very deserving Head Start center. So we have hope you all have kept your raffle tickets. Thank you. All right. Do you want to read the number off?
Sure, just in my glasses. Oops. Okay. 731982. 731982. Maybe someone might have to do this.
Okay.
We might try another
no
one. Well,
you do this.
Sure about that? Okay. All right, 731192. That sounds so similar.
731192. Anyone? All right, we'll go to a third.
Well,
somebody won? All right.
All right.
Well, please come up.
Yay, come on up.
Please come on up.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks very much, everybody. Okay. That was 731192? Yes. Okay.
Oh, no. Congratulations. Okay, now I get to draw for our fabulous rug. Bring the rug back.
You're good. We're good.
It appears that she will be sharing it with her co-workers. Okay, the carpet from Flagship. Ready? We're getting two? Okay, cool. The number is 731639. Come on down. The second rug goes to 731-741. 731-741. I'm putting it down. Okay? This one is 731-966. All right. Come on down. And who is this? We have carpet pictures to be taken. All the way over. Carpet people. Okay.
Somebody can take a picture for me.
There you go.
Oh my God. Got it? Yes. Thank you. Well, I want.
Okay. Oh, we'll take a selfie. We'll get one after. Okay. No.
Go.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so
All right.
much. Okay.
While the pictures are being taken, I wanted to make sure.
I'm sorry. I know she wanted to promote it. I want you in my lead part. Thank you so much. Okay, awesome.
Whew, who knew taking pictures of carpets would be so hard? Okay, in case you can't tell, we've come pretty much to the end of our time together. But before everyone gets out of here, I really want to say a couple of words. First of all, I want to thank NHSA staff and the volunteers for all the work they did, because this was a fabulous, fabulous affair, and they worked their butts off. The other thing I want to do is I want to thank our sponsors, because I know all of you got tired, like how many ads. These people are the reason that we were able to do this. Without the support of our sponsors, we wouldn't be able to do this. We wouldn't have an association that was able to move as far as we have and then make the impact that we have on the Hill. So I really want to take some time and say, again, thank you to Discount School Supply, Teaching Strategies, Second Step, Shine Early Learning, ABC Mouse, Whiffley, Huffton Mifflin Harcourt, Frog Street, Teachstone, Child Plus, Hatch, Lakeshore, School Health, PBS, Follett, because ain't nothing free. Okay? So thank you. And finally, the most important thing, thank you for being here. You are our family. And without you, you were awesome. You went to the sessions, you learned a lot, you shared a lot, you gave us that Head Start spirit that we all need. We celebrated 50 years, and we're gonna walk out of here ready for 50 more. Thank you for being you. We will see you at the parent conference, and the parent conference is going to be in San Diego, and we'll see you at the National next year in Nashville. Goodbye, travel safe, God bless.